Nation. Angie Mama Badger here with the Badgers and the Biker Lifestyle from Facebook and supportbikers.com. We are in St. Petersburg, Florida for the St. Pete Bikes Fest at Bert's Barracuda and the OCC Roadhouse. And we're actually going to go inside. I'm going to introduce you to Wind Road Therapy. See you in the podcast room. And today is a segment of ladies. I kicked Sunny to the curb and said, you know what, Miss Windroad that's joining us, she's a single lady doing her own thing, so here we are. So I want to introduce you to Windroad Therapy. That is her YouTube, Instagram, Facebook name, but her real name is Miss Desiree. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We brought you on the show because you're on the map at supportbikers.com where people can find you, but we wanted everybody to know about you and what you're doing. And you, my dear, are traveling in an RV for fun, but you still get a home, still got a home base. You ride a motorcycle and you have your dog. Yes. Your buddy, your companion, and so the two of you get to take off and spend your time traveling when you want to and how you want to.
Correct.
All right.
Love it. Yeah. He's my co-pilot.
So let's, first question, what made you decide to venture out and get an RV and start traveling?
Well, I knew when I retired that I wanted to see this beautiful country, and I didn't want to stay in motels along the way. I like the comfort of my home.
I've heard that a lot. I think it's an answer for those individuals that are like you.
And then it happened, that the world changed in the last 2 years. So even more so, I want the comfort of my own home.
Right. Okay. So I have no idea about RVing. So your story, everything you've told me has been interesting. And one thing was trying to find where you're going to next. How do you decide where you're going, when you're going, and when's the best time to go?
You actually have to try to book something a year in advance. That's the way that the reservation system works for national state parks, and even some of the private parks. They fill up and they book up so soon that you can't find a reservation, especially here now in Florida. For the winter time, it's near impossible if you wanted to get something in a week, you have to wait for somebody to cancel.
So you're putting something on your calendar a year in advance.
That's correct.
And is that always been the case, or is this something that's become?
Yeah. I'm relatively new. I started in 2020, in the middle of 2020, because as soon as I purchased my RV, the world shut down. So there were no campsites. The state parks closed. People had to go back home. It was difficult to find storage because everybody that was out traveling now had to go back to their home bases.
Yeah. So that was the norm was making sure I'm booking way ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I just finished doing some bookings for next October, and I got the last 2 sites.
Wow.
Myself and friends.
Wow. Okay. So when you travel, and are you deciding, because you've got your motorcycle. I know you do other recreational things too.
Yes.
You've got your paddle boarding that you do.
I love it.
But is that a deciding factor on where you go, is where you can ride as well?
Yes, absolutely. The weather is a concern. So traveling to, let's say, the back of the Dragon in February, March, that's not something that's really conducive. It's still a little chilly up there. They may have snow. They can have an ice storm. Mm-hmm. And from experience, North Carolina does not deal with ice like we do in New York. We salt it and we shovel it and plow it, and they just let it melt away. But that being said, that helps me decide where I want to go.
Okay.
So, down further south in the wintertime.
All right, so tell us what are you riding? What rig do you have?
My RV is a toy hauler. It's a tow behind. It is a 35-foot Forest River Primetime Fury. That's what it is. 35 feet.
Okay. And you've got to have a rig to pull this.
Yes. I have a Ram 2500 diesel.
And is it a good fit for you
Yes.
and what you're doing?
Yes, and I implore all women that are out there traveling, whether they're whatever rig that they have, a fifth wheel, a travel trailer, or a Class A, if they're traveling with a partner, husband, whatever, that they also learn how to tow the vehicle, to drive it, and be confident in doing so. You never know when you're going to have to take the wheel. So.
And speaking of that, you are a single woman trying to do this on your own. Do you find there's times where you need help, or do you feel like...
Yes,
Okay.
I need help right now as it stands when I have to unload my bike from the rig and to load it into the rig. And usually I just go to a neighbor at the campsite, and everybody has been more than helpful.
That's what I was going to ask you. So, it's kind of a family when you get there, right? Everybody,
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
something in common. You have that bond with them, so they're willing to help out. So don't be afraid. Is that what you're saying? Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. The only issue that I had was that I went to a park, and the park didn't want to be responsible for helping me unload the bike, and so I just went to a neighbor.
Okay.
And they were more than willing, brought up a good conversation. They used to ride, they love to ride, like it just gives you that bond, and gives you a new friend.
Right. So you ride. What
Yes.
motorcycle do you have?
I have a Kawasaki Vulcan S650.
And how long have you been riding?
Just 3 years.
Just 3 years. But you've put some miles on.
Yes.
She considers herself a new rider, but I mean, I feel like we're all learning. We're all learning as we go. Always new experiences. But you've been, riding for a while, and you've rode in different areas. So
Yes.
you've got to experience not just the flatlands here in Florida, but also the hills and the curves.
I love South Dakota. I went last year for the first time, and I fell in love. I love everything about it. So
South Dakota is number one on your list.
it is number one on my list.
All right, what would be number two?
Number two would be, I guess, Virginia. We went to VAM, and that was absolutely, even though it rained, we still had such a good time. We enjoyed the roads. I was there ahead of you guys, so I got to ride out there when it wasn't raining. So it was a good time. The roads were beautiful.
Okay. What would be your third choice?
Oh boy, there is the Old Mine Road, which you probably need an ADV bike. That video will be coming out. It was
Yeah?
it was Pothole City.
Really?
It's actually one of the oldest roads in the United States.
And which one is this?
Old Mine Road. It runs along the Delaware River.
Where do you like to stay? Is state parks? I see you going to many of those, but is that your preference, is to go to a state park?
I do love the state parks because they just bring you up close. For me, here in Florida, the state parks have brought me so far right to the water's edge. So I've stayed in Curry Hammock twice. And
Where's that at?
that is in Marathon, Florida Keys. You can't get
Keys.
any more beautiful than that park right there.
If you're looking for a little bit of wind, a little bit of road, and a little bit of therapy, you can find Wind Road Therapy where?
On YouTube at wind.road.therapy.
Yeah. All right, so be sure and hit that subscribe button, guys. Follow her and her adventures. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on here. Of course, she's on the map at supportbikers.com. We have all our information there as well, so you can go to the website and click on the links. And we're going to throw it back to Gina at Open Road Radio.
For this week's episode of Bikers Supporting Bikers, brought to you by supportbikers.com, the website that connects you directly to the biker world. supportbikers.com.
That's it for our segment on Open Road Radio that aired on December 4th of 2021. But keep watching. You'll get to meet Gina with Open Road Radio, her guests, and also the different topics that she has in this episode. If any of them interest you, then head on over to her Facebook page, Open Road Radio, and check it out. Go to the live tab and look for the December 4th, 2021. And remember, guys, it's not about the destination, it's all about the ride. See ya!